There's a silent generator in your kitchen drawer right now. The average American pays $1,400 a year not knowing it exists. It doesn't use gas. It doesn't use solar. It uses an interaction between two things you already own. Mix baking soda with water. Add a sheet of aluminum foil. You don't get a fizz. You get a sustained electron flow that has powered emergency radios for weeks. Alejandro Volta first documented the principle in 1792. IBM verified the density 2 centuries later. The U.S. Navy filed patents on the mechanism, but try to buy a commercial version at Home Depot and you will find an empty shelf. This is not a science fair potato clock, not a trick that dies in 10 minutes. This is a scalable power cell that creates electricity from corrosion. No lithium mining, no grid connection, no moving parts, just a roll of foil. So why are you paying bills to a grid that fails every winter? Because independent energy isn't profitable. Rented energy is. They buried the chemistry to sell you the wire. This is the story of the 1748 battery protocol and the damn monopoly that kept it from you. Welcome to Mr. Dude Explained. We dig up the blueprints history tried to burn, but you didn't come here for a speech. You came for the power. Picture a basement in New Jersey, late October 2012. Outside, Hurricane Sandy has turned the streets into rivers. The grid is dead. The backup batteries died yesterday. A retired electrical engineer named Thomas sits in the dark needing to hear the emergency broadcast, but his radio is silent. He remembers a footnote from Henry Kendish's 176 notes on inflammable air, a document he had photocopied from a university archive 4 decades prior. A principle of metal oxidation first observed in 1748. He fumbles through the kitchen drawers by flashlight. He pulls out a box of Arm & Hammer baking soda. He grabs a roll of aluminum foil. He finds a plastic Tupperware container, sandwich wrapping material. He mixes the white powder into water until it stops dissolving. He builds a stack, foil-soaked paper towel, a crude sandwich of metal and electrolyte. He attaches 2 copper wires to the ends and touches them to the battery terminals of his dead radio. Static hisses. Then a voice cuts through the dark. The LED power light glows steady red. Thomas expects it to last 5 minutes, maybe 10. He sits there for an hour. The light doesn't flicker. He falls asleep. 8 hours later, the radio is still talking. The aluminum is slowly degrading, turning into gray sludge. But the electricity pumps out at a constant voltage. He hasn't created a battery that holds a charge. He has created a fuel cell that consumes metal to release trapped energy. He pulls out his multimeter. The energy density isn't just comparable to the lead acid bricks in his garage. By weight, it is higher. This chemical reaction releases 8.1 quat-hours per kilogram of aluminum, 4 times the energy density of the lithium-ion battery in the smartphone you are holding right now. He built it with trash. This wasn't a magic trick. Thomas had reactivated a chemical truth that predates the light bulb. The aluminum foil wasn't just a wrapper, it was a solidified block of stored electricity waiting for a catalyst to unlock it. The baking soda wasn't just a cleaner, it was the key. The entire concept of recharging at a wall outlet was a lie we accepted because we forgot that metal itself is fuel. You have walked past these 2 items in the grocery store 1,000 times. You saw baking supplies, you saw leftovers. You never saw the 1748 generator, but the chemistry doesn't care. It works whether you believe in it or not. The electrons are waiting in the foil, trapped in the metal lattice, begging for a path to flow. And Thomas was not the only one to find it. In 1792, Alejandro Volta stacked copper and zinc, soaking them in brine. He made the world's first consistent voltage source. In 1803, Johann Wilhelm Ritter discovered that virtually any 2 dissimilar metals, separated by a weak acid or base like baking soda, create a potential difference. He powered early electrolysis experiments with nothing but metal discs. In 1941, French resistance fighters used scrap aluminum from downed aircraft and caustic soda to power clandestine radios when batteries were scarce. The cold fire. In 2002, a high school student in Ohio won a national science fair by lighting an LED array for 30 days straight using aluminum cans and salt water. That is not a coincidence. It is not a legend. That is a fundamental property of matter discovered independently across 3 centuries. That Ohio high school student didn't know it, but he was reading from the same page as the U.S. Navy. In a classified naval laboratory in 1965, scientists called it the 1748 cell. They realized aluminum is essentially solidified electricity. It takes immense energy to refine it from bauxite ore. energy that gets trapped inside the atomic structure of the metal. When you let it corrode in a controlled way, that energy comes back out as electricity. The aluminum didn't just store your electricity, it stored the sun's. Every roll of foil in your snorts drawer is a fossilized solar panel waiting for permission to run. Compressed since the Ice Age. The baking soda acts as an electrolyte, facilitating ion flow between the aluminum anode and a cathode, usually copper or carbon. As the aluminum oxidizes, it releases 3 electrons per atom. This is a massive release. That aluminum foil you wrinkled around your leftovers last night, Volta would have recognized it instantly. So why isn't this in your phone? Because it's a primary cell. It consumes the metal. Once the foil turns to sludge, you replace it. The battery industry decided early on that selling you rechargeable lithium was more profitable than teaching you to refuel with cheap metal. They buried the simplicity of consumable fuel cells under layers of complexity. They built a world where you plug into a wall, not one where you feed a metal strip into a slot. So the big companies did what monopolies always do when they find a disruptive technology. The voltage of a lithium cell was standardized at 3.7 volts. The aluminum cell runs at 1.2 volts. They engineered the incompatibility before you were born. Look at your phone. You charge it every night. You panic when the grid goes down. You are shackled to an infrastructure that charges you every month. Now look at Israel 2014. A startup called Finergy drives $1,000 on a single charge. Jerusalem toot and back, no lithium, no charging stations, just aluminum air batteries. The only exhaust is water. When the energy runs out, you don't plug it in for 6 hours. You swap the plates in 3 minutes. The cost per mile is laughable. The energy density is 8 times higher than the Tesla Model S. Then look at the U.S. Navy 2002. They develop aluminum seawater batteries for underwater drones that don't need to surface to recharge. They run for weeks on the metal hull itself, corroding it slowly to generate power. They call it super long endurance. But try to find a finery car at a dealership today. Try to find a Navy-grade aluminum cell at Best Buy. You won't. You will find lithium-ion batteries that degrade after 2 years, forcing you to buy a new phone. You will find electric cars that require a $1 trillion grid upgrade. You will find a world addicted to the plug. While the solution sits in your kitchen drawer wrapped in cardboard, the technology works. It has worked since 1748. It worked for the Navy. It worked for finery. But it doesn't work for the utility companies. The utility. A battery you refill with scrap metal and baking soda is a nightmare for a business model built on metered electricity. Generate power from trash and you stop paying the meter. They didn't just ignore it. They actively designed consumer electronics to exclude it. Every phone battery degrades. Every utility bill climbs. Every car battery loses range. They standardized 3.7 volts for lithium to make sure 1.2 volts from aluminum felt useless. They engineered the incompatibility. The reason is simple. You cannot meter the sun and you cannot meter trash. The modern utility grid operates on artificial scarcity. They generate power at a plant, distribute it through copper veins, and charge you for every kilowatt hour you use. If you could generate your own baseline power from household items, that revenue stream collapses overnight. The lithium battery industry is built entirely on planned obsolescence. Every device degrades. Every cycle loses range. You're forced back as a repeat customer every 3 years. An aluminum air battery is a primary cell. Use it up. Recycle the non-toxic sludge into new aluminum. Insert a new plate. Infinite recycling. It turns energy into a commodity like milk or bread, something you consume and replace for pennies, not an expensive component that fails and forces 1,000 upgrade. They need you to be a tenant of the grid, not an owner of the source. Every time you plug in, you pay a utility giant. Every time you buy a lithium battery, you pay a mining conglomerate. But every time you mix baking soda and aluminum, you pay nobody. You bypass the meter. You become your own power plant. The 1748 cell isn't just a science experiment. It is economic defiance. It threatens the infrastructure of centralized power. They built a world dependent on the socket in the wall because if you knew you could pull power from the pantry, the socket would become optional. Optional is not profitable. Right now, your power bill is climbing. Your phone battery is dying. The solution is sitting right next to your leftovers. You don't need a degree in chemistry. You need a kitchen. If you've made it this far, you're now holding the key to energy independence. Subscribe to Mr. Dude Explained. Because this is not a channel. It is the library they tried to close. Share this with one person who needs to see the power grid for what it really is. Stay right here, because the first thing you need to know is what this cell cannot do. Here is what this cell cannot do. It isn't a lithium battery. You can't recharge it by plugging it in. Once the aluminum is gone, you replace the foil. It creates a harmless white sludge called aluminum hydroxide that you need to clean out. The voltage is lower than an AA battery per cell. Stack layers to get useful power. It won't run your AC unit or a Tesla. But for emergency lights, radios, and charging a phone when the grid is down, it's power as long as you have foil. Messy, manual, and requires maintenance. But unlike the grid, it never asks for a credit card. Go to your kitchen. First, take your aluminum foil and cut it into 4 squares, roughly 6 in wide. Next, find 4 paper towels and cut them slightly smaller than the foil. Then, mix the electrolyte. Take a cup of warm water and stir in baking soda until no more dissolves. This is your conductive solution. After that, take 4 pennies or copper wire pieces, sand them down to expose clean metal. Now assemble the stack. Place a foil square. Place a soaked paper towel on top. Place a penny on the towel. Repeat. Foil, towel, penny, foil, towel, penny. Each foil layer must touch the penny below it. Never let foil touch foil directly. That shorts the cell. This takes about 90 seconds per layer. Do it on a flat surface. The kitchen counter works fine. Finally, attach a wire to the bottom foil and a wire to the top penny. You have just created a voltic pile. The aluminum is the anode. The penny is the cathode. The baking soda is the electrolyte. The voltage is low, roughly 2 volts for 4 layers. Add 4 more and you have enough to light an LED. Add 20 and you generate roughly 10 volts, enough to charge a phone through a USB step-down converter. And why does this work? You are corroding the aluminum. The metal sacrifices itself to push electrons through the wire. The white sludge that forms is aluminum hydroxide, the same stuff in antacids. This simple stack is the same chemistry refinery used to drive 1,000 miles. It is the same principle the Navy used for drones. Scalable, cheap, sitting on your counter right now. The total cost, pennies, the time, 5 minutes. The result, real electricity from kitchen waste. If a high school student in Ohio could do this to win a science fair, you can do it to power a light in a blackout. Now compare that to the battery in your emergency flashlight. You bought it for $5. It sat unused for 2 years. And when you needed it, it was dead, thrown away. The landfill is full of heavy metals and wasted money. This pile is made of baking soda, pennies, and foil. A disposable AA battery delivers power at roughly $150 per kilowatt hour. This pile does it for under $1. When it dies, rinse it, add more foil, and it runs again. The shelf life is indefinite. The power grid fails every storm. The lithium battery degrades every cycle, but the 1748 cell just sits there, silent and ready, waiting for you to add water, the only generator you can rebuild from your recycling bin. The laws of physics do not care about quarterly earnings or grid maintenance schedules. The electron flow discovered in 1748 never stopped working. We just stopped looking because the wire in the wall was easier. We traded resilience for convenience, allowing the utility meter to become our only lifeline, but the chemistry survived. It survived in the notebooks of Alejandro Volulta. It survived in the hidden radios of the French resistance. It survived in the classified holes of Navy drones deep underwater. And now, finally, it survives in your kitchen drawer. $4 trillion in North American grid infrastructure hinge on you believing electricity only comes from a power plant. But the truth is, energy is everywhere. It is in the air, in the ground, and in the metal you throw away. You're no longer just a customer waiting for a bill or a victim waiting for rescue. You are holding the formula. When the next storm hits and the neighborhood goes dark, you won't be the one praying for the truck to arrive. You will be the one stripping wire and mixing soda by candlelight. They can turn off the substation and they can ration the lithium, but they cannot turn off the chemistry. Subscribe to Mr. Dude Explained. We are building the manual they didn't want you to have. Sharing this is a signal fire to everyone stuck in the dark. And stay close. The water in your tap holds a secret even more volatile than the foil, and we are going to crack it apart with a 9-volt battery and a paper clip.